I'm Rob Licuria, senior editor at Gold Derby, here with Bookie co-creator Nick Bakay. Nick, I binged all 8 episodes of this show in one day. That's because the show
Great.
is audacious. It's laugh out loud funny. Really is. When you're writing comedy, particularly when you're not on a multicam with an audience, how do you really know the jokes are going to land and you're going to make the audience laugh?
You don't. You think you do. You hope you do. I think that's one of look, there are pluses and minuses of Chuck and I not being neophytes, right? And not being the youngest guys. One of them is we bring a fair amount of experience to the party. So I think we are battle trained from years of actually doing this with millions of table reads and also the ultimate litmus test, which is taping in front of a live audience where, there is nowhere to hide. But we still get it wrong. It's funny. We do table reads of our show, which really helps. That's the first battlefront. And then there's just seeing it on its feet. That changes everything. On a multicam, that's at your first run through, your second run through the process of a typical week. For us, it's when we're shooting, we'll see it in the environment. In single camera, sometimes it's even just the coverage. There's a joke that's laying there, and then you realize it's weird, but that one plays in the master, or that one just laid there like a dog until we singled it up, and you just don't know. But we're fixing always. It's one of the reasons Chuck and I are always on set, because we're always rewriting and we're always thinking the better of things. So we're working till the very end.
Wow. I mean, there's a lot of pressure there. We're watching a comedy, we want it to be funny, and thank God it is. When you got someone like Sebastian Maniscalco, though, like I've loved his stand-up for years. And when I saw that he was going to finally headline a comedy series, I thought, okay, great. I'm in. And it didn't disappoint. Is it true that you and Chuck only really ever wanted Sebastian in the lead role, and without him, the show probably would not have proceeded?
Yeah, we it started with the idea of working with Sebastian, and the first instinct was to do sort of a classic multicam. It's a natural, especially if you're a fan as we are of his stand-up. He's such a physical being, and a lot of the multicam methodology, especially for your lead, it's a strange hybrid of performance. It's somewhere between film acting and stage acting, and so it was a natural. But as this process evolved, we veered very much veered left and took an off ramp off that highway. Partly inspired by seeing how good he was in The Irishman, but also I think we wanted to veer. I think we weren't in this context thrilled to do another multicam living room. Is like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And this idea really took on a life of its own. And when he saw that and decided I want in, then we knew we were ready to rock and roll. It was great.
Yeah. Chuck has explained in the past that he had the light bulb moment of collaborating with you because of your background in sports, gambling, sports entertainment. So Chuck calls you up. How long did it take for you or for both of you to work out this is what the show is going to be and you were all in? Like, did it take a long time?
Well, he called me and just said Sebastian Maniscalco, and I said, yeah. I mean, I would be in with Chuck anyway. We've worked for a long time, so that was enough. And then the prospect, because I was a big fan of Sebastian's, so that was like, an enthusiastic, quick and easy yes. Then then it turns into, so what's it going to be? And that was a process. And it was a winding road to what if we did something sort of crimey, crime-ish, and tonally maybe we go a little Elmore Leonard, a little, I mean, that's illustrious company. But we were trying to find something like not hard crime. We're not going to make that full jump off into the deep end. But what is an area? And when you floated the notion of Bookie, it was like that's the right level. And really, it's funny because that job right now is a very interesting one because it's been illegal in America forever until very recently. It is still illegal in California. So, here's a guy who's not unlike a cab driver watching Uber come into his life, or, a guy who owns a nice little motel or hotel, seeing what's this Airbnb now, and just all of us, we all, hey, I'm a writer. We just were on strike, and one of the looming devils was artificial intelligence writing everything. So, there's a relatability beyond what is very specifically about this guy being a bookie. He's also a guy working, trying to keep his business alive, trying to manage a family. There's a lot of relatability too.
It's incredibly relatable, and well, for all the reasons that you just said, and also because of this buddy comedy element. Like Omar Dorsey, Sebastian Maniscalco, that's magic. They are so good together, honestly. And it made me think, what is it about buddy comedies that makes them so uniquely evergreen? Like they will never go out of fashion, will they?
I hope not. I mean, no, I mean, there are certain things that are tried and true for a reason. I don't know. They just connect with us. I mean, look, a buddy comedy is just another way of, they're all love stories in the end, and in this case, we've got these two guys, and, because of their line of work and their relationship, they are in a car together all day. And that's one of the things that we loved about the potential of this, is as much as we love the mystery of, you know, I've always wondered about that when you're a bookie, on that day where the envelopes exchange, you meet at places, but there's also the face to face. I got a knock on a door. What's on the other side of that door? That was exciting and enticing. There's a open the box for the mystery element. But there's also all day in an Escalade with a guy who's you're probably with him more than your wife, right? And that gave us the opportunity to write guys who can open up to each other, who can't, where can they be real, where can't they be real? I mean, we had as much fun writing these two guys in a car talking about the world and their lives as we did about the actual procedural aspects of the show. It was really fun.
Yeah, that banter was my highlight. So like for example, they're at a bank and they're talking about the weird guy, and it just goes off onto a tangent where Sebastian is talking about maybe the puppet has an evil spirit. I was roaring, roaring. It's so good. Like it's so simple, like just great banter between two really good actors, great writing. What could possibly go wrong? But of course, everything could go wrong, right? So, I mean,
Right.
when you're trying to calibrate that and you're watching them do their magic on set, was there a lot of need for guardrails and guidance from Chuck and you and the team, or did you sometimes just let Omar and Sebastian fly a bit?
No, I mean, look, we were all finding the tone, the levels. I will say, going into it, that's true of any new show. It's one of the most interesting exercises when a show's lucky enough to have a lifespan and you fall in love with it, is to go back and watch the first one. Because
Yeah.
it's always sort of a parallel universe experience, right? You're kind of like, oh my God, they had a sister? I forgot, you know what I mean? There's always, it's a rough business. There's always somebody who's not there
What
anymore.
happened to
And
her?
there's,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then it's sort of like they probably got 70% of it right. But if you're smart and you're organic, you're kind of listening as you go. So there's always a lot of that. But I will say, when we were testing actors, Omar's just amazing. And I hadn't had a chance to work with him before, but it's been one of the joys of the process, is not only getting to know him because he's a beautiful guy, but to watch him work. And Sebastian reacted to him from Jump Street. When we watched them test together, we knew, oh, this is great. This is going to work. And we're not wrong. We're not way off in what we wrote. And it encouraged us. So, we, a lot of these things were pretty well baked from the beginning. And then, you're just encouraged to follow that and build on it. You find out what they do well together. But yeah, those two guys, they brought it to life. And that's what you pray for. Because, you can go into that room and watch it and go, yikes.
Yikes. This is terrible. And then the whole cast is really strong too.
Great.
a lot of comedy series often steer away from farce as well. It's something that you don't see a lot these days. Ridiculous, improbable situations and physical comedy can be very hit or miss. In this show,
Mhm.
with Cash smelling like human poop, the lady in the shroom therapy session with Lorraine and
Mhm.
Hector, I was screaming. When she went into the bathroom, I mean, we shouldn't joke about suicide, I guess, but when she got to the bathroom, I thought that was one of the funniest things I'd ever seen. And then
That's
the
really
guys
funny.
being chased by homeless people down the street with bags of cash. All of that could have been a complete write-off. It was so funny. How satisfying is it when that stuff really plays in the final cut and you can rest easy that a job well done.
Rest easy is key because there's a huge element of relief, you know. But you know, we have no holes barred in the writing. You know, we really. And I was talking to my wife about it today, and I said, you know, what was fun about this is we just kind of, it's like we're at a craps table and we say, just let it ride. Let's just roll. Let's, you know, we're not encumbered by the usual box we're in. Let's roll hard. And we did. And thank God it worked out. But we also were committed to making the show a comedy, which is your response to it is really music to my ears, and I'm grateful to hear that because you know the problem with some single camera comedies is they fall into what I call whimsity, you know,
Yeah.
because you don't have the you know you don't have that audience to keep you honest. You can get away with a smile and you may not get a laugh, but a smile, we're okay, you know, we'll settle. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted people to leave going, well, that was a funny show, not, well, it was in some gray area of, you know, and obviously we're dealing with interesting and intense things. It's more than that, but we wanted our comedy to be unmistakably out there and aggressive, and it is. So yeah, we went hard.
As you should. I mean, I want to see Andrea Anders, washing the cash and putting it on the line, and so just little things like that that just keep the joke going is what I'm signing up for. I want to laugh, and thank God you delivered that. But speaking of no holds barred, I like it how Bookie toes the line between being edgy and politically incorrect, but without crossing any significant boundaries. Should comedy, in your opinion, be a free for all? Is it all up for grabs, meaning that you can joke about anything, or do you believe personally that there are certain things that you don't really need to joke about?
No, I'm definitely of the everything is up for grabs school and generation, you know, and you know, I've been in writing rooms and around comedians for too long. I think I'm broken for, you know, general society, and I've had those moments where I realize, wow, I just really stepped in it in a way that's just from the world I spend my days in, right? But no, I don't think that it works that way. Seems like we might be pulling out of that a little bit. But you know, in the case of our show, we have people say wildly inappropriate and wrong things, and we did even more of that in season two that we're shooting currently.
Yeah.
But it's in character, you know. We're writing people that I know. We're writing people that I have coexisted with, that I have seen, that we've all experienced. It's not like we're not taking these shots because we're like, haha, I want to get this thought out there because it's my agenda. We're writing it because you know what? That's what I've heard. That's what I know. That's what I've seen. And that's what people are. So I think that, you know, it's funny if it's recognizable. If you feel like it's just on some agenda track, it's exhausting.
Yeah, you've nailed it because like most of us these days have like these group chats. Like all of my friends, we're on various group chats, and the things that we say to each other to make each other laugh in the drudgery of the day is what I live for, and that's the kind of
Hmm.
vibe I get from Bookie. The banter is so fun, and so then that reminds me, you co-wrote every episode with Chuck Lorre, and you've collaborated with him many times before. So then what would you say? Chuck Lorre is the king of sitcoms and he's such
Hmm.
a good guy. What do you most value about working with him?
That's really interesting. You know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. But I love the fact that when we start cooking together, we can just flow. That's the best thing I've ever had with anyone I've collaborated with. What you want to do is get each other cooking and rolling and not second guessing. And there have been times when we wrote Bookie scripts. Some of them are difficult births, some of them aren't. Some of them just fall out. Like that, was it one of those Monty Python movies where the woman in the shoe with 8,000 babies, and one of them just falls out while they're doing this. I'm still laughing at that, but it's both ways. But we've had a few of them where we were done at the end of the day, and I felt like you know, smoke was coming off of us because neither one of us are, hold on, let's be careful, pump the brakes, guys. We're not. And I love that. And there's plenty of time to go back and go, no, okay, what did we do? You can always, the rewriting is rewriting. There's plenty of layers to the onion. But that first attack, what you want is for it to just be jazz, and
Yeah.
boy, that's the most pretentious. I feel like such a jackass that I said that out loud.
But I
I, I,
agree. It
I
is
hate
like
me right
that.
now. I hate me, but you
I
want it
love
to
it.
be liberated. You don't want it to be worried about anything. You want
No.
no care. And we don't, and that's my favorite thing about working with him. I could tell you a million other things about. I love his approach. I've learned a lot. I like everything about it. It's been really, really successful process on many levels, but that's the thing I love.
Wow. Yeah, I can see why you would think that. That's so interesting to me. Also, Charlie Sheen, such a good sport for guest starring as himself in two
Mhm.
episodes. Did it take a lot of convincing to get him on the show?
No, it had nothing to do with that one. We
No.
had written, it's in the first episode, he appears in season one, and we had written like, well, these guys are making book in LA. We should have a cameo. They should be getting money from somebody we all know.
Yeah.
It's just we were missing an opportunity if we don't do that. And we had written placeholders. And one day Chuck came in and said, "You know what? I've been thinking about it. I think it should be Charlie." And I was like, what?" And it scared me at first, which is always a good sign, right? Whenever something scares you, you're like, yeah, you're probably on the right path. Um, but the fact is, they were both very ready for that rapprochement, and I hate myself again for using
I
that
love
word.
it. Love it.
Ugh,
Love it.
who am I? Who am I? I'm from Buffalo. You wouldn't know it. Anyway, God, I hate me. Anyway, they were ready. It was time, as my Canadian Irish grandmother used to say about complicated situations. Well, it's all over now, and the child's name is Anthony, right? And it's like,
Here we go. Here we go.
enough bullshit, enough crap, enough had gone down. And they were both ready. They were very ready, and it turned into just a great thing on many, many levels. They had a wonderful time. These guys made incredible
Yeah.
television together. This was one of the great writer actor pairs. And so here they were doing their thing again, and it was beautiful to watch. And they were
Yeah.
both happy to do it.
That's so good to hear. It was beautiful to watch. Yeah, I'd loved having him on my TV again. Final question is about the banter and the one-liners. There's so many really good ones. I have favorites. I'm wondering if you can think back to, I know you're in season two now, but do you have a favorite line or one-liner or scene that you love the most?
Well, it's funny. We just shot a scene. The line that's been in my head all week is grandma. There's a teaser for season two.
Yes.
This grandma says, "Fuck you, Danny Calamari." So that's the one that I've been thinking about all week, which really shows what a classy operation we are. But I think my one of my favorites is the scene. I believe it's in our second episode where they go to the high rise to collect money from the rich guy whose car got repossessed.
Yeah.
And he's out on the balcony. That whole scene for me was a scene that, I had thought about this. This is a concept that I'd played with before. And I always, like I said earlier, people who have jobs where you got to knock on a door and enter other people's worlds and you don't know what's waiting for you. That was one of the big appeals to me about this concept. that scene to me was the epitome of that, where you don't know what's waiting, and then you're in it,
Yeah.
and that one, and I just think we got great. I think writing, performance. I think it looks great. I think it's full of surprises, and that's my favorite. I think.
Yeah, and we're watching the screen as the guys are downstairs and that body falls, and I'm just like, yes, ding, we have a
There
winner.
you go.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah, my favorite line is the funeral director saying he's hoping that China has something else cooking for us. It's
That's great.
gold. It's
That's
gold.
great. We shot that in a real funeral home. That was an interesting day. Yeah.
Wow.
That was the
Jeez.
real room, you know.
You've you've
Yeah.
really
We were
seen it all on Bookie.
well, and that's the other thing that's great about this show. After years of go to Sage 20, and here's that fucking living room every day, and it's all good, but you know what I mean? You feel like you're a little bit Groundhog's Day, right? Not on Bookie. We get up in the morning and we get up early, and we're somewhere in this enormous city of Los Angeles, and it's been delightful. It's been exciting.
Wow. On that note, Nick, thank you so much for your insight today. Congrats on a great first season.
Thank you so much.